Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm Patrick Christiano, your host, the publisher of TheaterLife.com. And today I have a special guest, like I always do, Bonnie Comley, the theater producer, with her husband, Stuart Lane, who is not here today. We have Bonnie, who is an entity in her own as well. And Bonnie is the founder of Broadway HD, which is an extraordinary streaming service that is probably the finest in the world. Um, and she's also a Broadway producer. Uh, she's got Pictures from Home on Broadway right now, and Funny Girl, and several other things. She's also a member of the Drama League. When they're going to be having their gala, I think it's on the 17th or the 19th of May. And we're going to talk about that. So we have a lot to talk about, Bonnie. Thank you so much for coming to do this. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. One of the things I want to share with our audience too, because I was reading up about you, every time you're going to come on, I probe a little bit further. And I discovered this thing that I didn't know about you, besides being a 3-time Tony Award-winning producer and a Drama Desk winner and an Olivier winner. You have also been honored, if I can read this all, the theater community has honored you for your philanthropic work, including stuff with the Actors Fund Medal of Honor, the Drama League Special Contribution to the Theater Award, and the Paul Newman Award from Arts Horizon. You're a philanthropist as well. Wow. I didn't know all these special things about you in the background, Bonnie.
It's all part of the industry. It's all just, working in the industry and supporting the industry wherever and whenever we can. So the Drama League is one of my main focuses right now. I'm actually in my second year as president of the board of a 4-year term that I'll serve there. And you mentioned our gala, which is coming up on May 19th at the Ziegfeld Ballroom. The Drama League is actually...
The gala, I just want to insert this gala. The Drama League Gala is one of my favorite events of the whole season because it brings together so many people in a really special kind of way. And I want to share, all these people are nominated for Distinguished Performance of the Year. Like, how many are nominated?
We have probably around like 75. So there is a dais that has, 3 or 4 tiers of people, and it's an afternoon luncheon. It is really special because we nominate people that are not just on Broadway, but off Broadway and some off Broadway. So there's one competitive acting award. And then there are other awards that are for best new musical, best new play, best revival of a musical, and best what did I miss one? and also for we give out a several honorary awards. So this year we're giving an award to the Drama Bookshop, which was founded by the Drama League, and then broken off because the members of the Drama League back 100 years ago, when it was founded, decided that somebody else would run that store, that bookstore better. So that was broken off, but we're actually honoring it because it was going to go out of business. And then four gentlemen bought it and decided they wanted to, that it was an important institution that needed to be preserved. So Thomas Cale, James Niederlander, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Jeffrey Seller bought it and decided to basically, resurrect it in the pandemic, which they did, and they opened it up. It's a beautiful, beautiful bookstore.
It's stunning. They made it into something so much more than it even ever was, along with keeping everything that it was there before. It's fabulous. Absolutely. Yeah. They're well deserving of this award.
Yeah. So
and you're getting Andre DeShields is getting a
special... Andre DeShields, Lear de Bessonet, who is a Drama League directing fellow, who is actually the director of Into the Woods on Broadway this year, and Darren Odiode, who is a huge patron of the arts. So we're honoring the 4 of them with our honorary awards, and then, as I said, we have our competitive awards for the shows, and then we have one award that goes for an actor. So it could be Broadway, off Broadway, off Broadway, any gender, and comedy or drama or musical or play. So it
And
just
it's called the
one.
Distinguished Achievement in the Theater Award. And what I love about it all, like you said, there are about 75 nominees, and they all show up.
They
They're
all show
all
up.
on the stage, on the dais. They each have a moment to share their feelings about being there and being a part of the theater community. And they're just so excited to be in each other's company, and it's so obvious and it's contagious. It's just a fabulous day. It's an afternoon, is what it is.
It is. It is. It is a great afternoon, and it's celebratory. It's one of the first awards of the season, so we sort of kick off the theater awards season. And as you said, it's just very celebratory. Sometimes it gets a little, it's just more funny, and sometimes it just, people, that are, looking at their peers that are on the same dais, and they can't believe, oh, I grew up watching this person, which is like, if you're on the receiving end of that, it always feels like, oh, great. Like you were in second grade when I was on Broadway for the first time, kind of thing. A lot of that, but it's just very, very inclusive and just really very special. And that will be, as I said, on May 19th at the Ziegfeld Ballroom. So yeah, and the Drama League, the money that's raised goes to support the Directors Project, which is an initiative for early career stage directors. So it's not beginners, it's people that have already proven themselves within the industry. And every year we have about 10 to probably about 15 of those. And that program, that initiative has been around for, I guess it's just over 40 years now.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have about 400 of these Directors Project alum out in the industry, and they continually, show up on Broadway. Every season for probably the past 10 years, about 1/3 of all the Broadway shows are directed by a directing fellow that has come out of this program. So it really is just very special. And it's a mentoring home, and it's also an artistic home for these directors for their entire career. So they are brought in when they're picked and selected as fellows, and then they stay within the Drama League's directing project within our circle to then mentor the next generation, which is what makes it really so successful. So when these people are actually directing on Broadway and they're bringing in these other fellows to come in and watch how it's done, it's been really successful. It's just one of the best programs to not only just teach somebody, but it really give them an opportunity on a professional stage in New York City.
Didn't Diane Paulus come up through that program?
Diane Paulus. So this right now we have, as I said, Lear de Bessonet, who's being honored. We have Diane Paulus, Chris Ashley, Alex Timbers, who's got Moulin Rouge, and also Here Lies Love, which will be opening in the summer.
But they're extraordinary directors.
Michael Mayer, who's doing Funny Girl right now, and Michael Mayer has something else right now I can't think of. But it's about 1/3 of the directors that are on Broadway that are there, and then the ones that aren't there are at they're artistic directors around the country at regional theaters, or they're teaching at colleges, or they're the head of the theater departments at colleges. So it's 400 of these fellows that are out there, that are alums, that are just passionate about this program, and will say, if it wasn't for the Drama League's Directors Project program, my career wouldn't have been what it is. And I think that it just accelerates their place within the industry, and that's why they support it. They come back and they're happy to mentor the next group of fellows. So
yeah, I've seen Diane Paulus speak about it, how much it impacted on her, and how much she wanted to give back because of it, and how much the Drama League meant to her. But you guys do extraordinary work. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Let's talk about Broadway HD. because
Let's talk about
it's been,
Broadway
I mean, it's how many years? 8 years since you
going
founded?
into our eighth year at Broadway HD. So we were well ahead of the pandemic, well ahead of, a lot of other streaming companies that have, some of them have come and gone already, not just theater streamers, but other, in the pandemic, a lot of, Peacock and a lot of other, streaming, a lot of other cable companies decided they were going to, fast track their streaming, companies and put them out online during the pandemic. And now we're watching how some of those within the industry of these, what they call OTT, the over-the-top platforms for content, are now consolidating or they're bundling. But Broadway HD in the pandemic really just, we were already there. We were already online. We were, as I said, launched 8 years ago. With a vision to create, serve the theater fans around the globe and serve the next generation of theater fans.
But you have an extraordinary mission to bring the theater to people that have never seen it before, or may never be able to even get there without Broadway HD.
Yes, I mean, we are a global platform. Our content is out there, and the globally, these types of shows, the world is underserved. When we have here in the US, we have 41 Broadway theaters here in New York City in Times Square. We have about 200 touring theaters that are Broadway touring theaters across the US. And then there's, probably about like 50 countries that Broadway tours go to, but it's not consistent. The tours aren't out there all the time. Not all the shows tour. Not all the types of shows are available. Some countries don't allow certain types of content to be streamed by their citizens. They're a little bit more censored, some of these shows. So we're, serving up Broadway caliber shows, Broadway and Broadway caliber shows around the world, and on a subscription basis. So we're eliminating these barriers to entry. So whether that's geography, whether that is price point, or whether that is any sort of physical limitations that people have, hearing or sight impaired in any way, that we can, with the technology, we can assist with that. So, and it's, through our social media and our customer service, people just are so grateful and thankful that that we're providing that. We have here in the US, we have over 300, I think close to 350 shows, and these are full-length stage plays and musicals.
Well, what's also very special about what you do is the way you capture them. I mean, it's not with two or three cameras. It's like at 7 or 8, or how many cameras do you use?
Well, I mean, there's no one size fits all. So
Right.
we have some one person shows, and those are less cameras. But we have, sometimes 14 cameras in the theater to do these captures. So
and the captures, sometimes you can go from a wide to a close up really fast, which you can't do in the theater. So you can see sometimes things that are really happening on the stage that you wouldn't be able to see from your seat in a way. And then you can go back to a transition back to a full shot, and you still have the whole thing. It makes it more intimate sometimes.
It is a different experience. It is a different experience. It's not the in-person experience. So you are, to your point, there's a couple elements involved in capturing a show. So to be very clear, a digital capture or a live capture, or sometimes it's called a pro shot, is very different than a movie. So if anybody saw Hamilton, that's streaming now on Disney Plus, you go into the theater where the show is going on. There's an audience there, and you see as if you're sitting in a theater seat, or to depending on the camera angle, on different theater seats. But you're basically seeing what you would see if you were in the theater. Whereas a film is very different. A film version of West Side Story is very different than a digital capture of West Side Story or Funny Girl or, Phantom of the Opera. So it's a different kind of experience that way. And we have with Broadway HD, when we bring our TV crew in, we try to preserve the integrity of what the stage director's vision and the stage, those creators of the stage version, what their vision was. Because to your point, with cameras going in, you could make it be something very different. So we get TV directors like Don Roy King, like Lonnie Price, like Ellie Heyman, that are passionate about theater, and they want to bring to, to the TV screen what that theater director had in mind. So we don't change anything. We enhance lighting
Yes,
sometimes, and we enhance sound, and that's to make it more like the theater experience. So sometimes it's, the dark corners of the stage need to have a little bit more lighting in order for the stage, for the TV cameras to capture what was going on back there, or sound to make sure that everybody is mic'd properly, so that the sound is pristine and you're not hearing the orchestra over the people's voices, so that it's the correct balance with all of that. So it's really another art form of bringing in stage, creators with TV directors, TV stage professionals.
It's phenomenal. It enhances your captures enhance in the way that you said what they intended. It enhances it in a way that actually makes it a little bit more intimate and personal. They're fabulous. I've seen so many of the things. I've even seen some in the big theater, because you've shown some of them in the big theater.
We did do in cinema. Broadway HD has done in cinema events with some of our content. So
and they work just as well there as they do on the small screen, any size you want to show them on. So let's talk about some of your titles. How many titles do you have altogether?
We have about 350 now, so that's stage plays and musicals. And even within those, there's different types of shows. So with stage plays, we have some that are, plays that have, 10 or 12 people in them. We have musicals that are, two-person musicals. We have a couple of one-person musicals up to, 42nd Street that has, I think there's like close to 50 people in the cast. It's phenomenal. It's just so beautiful. Just such a beautiful capture. And it just sort of refreshes and renews people's interest in going to see the live. Because what we're finding with Broadway HD is that people see these digital captures and then they say, I love that show, I love that music, I want to go see it. And I think we're finding that more and more because, years ago that was a concern, that of what we call in the industry cannibalization of the live ticket sales. So what that means is when a Broadway producer who spent $20 million to produce a Broadway musical is trying to sell those tickets for $125 a piece, is concerned that if there's a digital version of that same show streaming on like Broadway HD, we're $125 for all of the shows on our platform, or $12 a month, that you can watch that. You can watch our 42nd Street on Broadway HD instead of going, or you can watch, we have a version of Into the Woods. So you watch that instead of the one that is now on Broadway, or you watch Funny Girl on Broadway HD instead of going to the Leah Michele version. So people were concerned about that, but we're still streaming those shows and it's not damaging the box office for Leah Michele or Phantom of the Opera that we have, or Jesus Christ Superstar.
And your feeling is it may even be enhancing it, is what your feeling is.
We do find, and we have, it's not hard data because there's no one the shows aren't exactly the same. Like if there was a formula to make all these shows successful, we would all have Hamilton, right? But they're all different. And so with the digital capture, it's different, and people's reaction to it is different. But what we're finding with our exit polls of things, with our surveys, with our questionnaires that go out, is that the risk is eliminated quite often. So people will watch a digital version and then they realize that I really like that show, or women buy most of the tickets for Broadway shows. And so they'll watch it and then they'll say, oh, now I know my husband is going to love this. So I'm confident in buying, 2 tickets for $125 a piece because he'll love this. I've already vetted it. The risk is eliminated. I know we're both going to love this show. So we're finding that more and more,
right.
That people, or they become familiar with the music. I think especially after the pandemic, people are very much looking for familiarity. You know, our life was so disrupted for a while that like, give me something that I already know the music, I'm already familiar with the characters. Just give me the, the comfort, the show that's going to be comforting, the one that I know. So we're finding that, quite often is the case. And we're also finding that, that's how theater is an art form that's been passed generation to generation for centuries. And so with the digital piece, we're finding that it's the training wheels for the next generation. So parents and grandparents can sit with these children in their living room and have a communal experience in the same way that you'd watch a movie on your big screen TV, but
Right.
watch a Broadway HD show. So they can watch Wind in the Willows, or they can watch 42nd Street, or they can watch Kinky Boots or Cats on their big screen TV and introduce the younger kids to this art form before they go to the theater, because going to the theater is a different kind of experience. So you can, when they're little, you don't want them, somebody's paid $125 for a ticket. You don't want the little kid behind you talking through the whole show. You don't want them kicking the seat. You don't want them, like asking questions all the way through the show. And you want them to be familiar with things like the orchestra comes up very loud at the beginning. The lights are dark or they're off in the audience, So those things that young children don't experience till they go there, that experience has been talked through at home. You can stop and start. You can go get a snack. You can be eating, your sandwich while you're watching,
Right.
with your grandchildren, kind of thing, which you can't do in the Broadway theater. So those sorts of things are how we're now introducing the next generation or the next generation to the art form of theater, because it is something that is very much relies on word of mouth and passing down this art form to another generation. So we're, and you can, with a big screen TV, because most people think like, well, online, I'm watching it on a little computer screen, or I'm watching it on my phone. And that's not the case, because like Netflix, like, Amazon, like all these other, bigger, Hulu and bigger streaming services, Broadway HD has all the apps. So you can watch these things on your big screen TV in the same way that you watch any of your other, TV shows that you're now streaming. So that, sitting there in your living room and having this communal experience where you're talking about the show, you're all laughing together, you're all, or as I said, with, younger kids, you can actually interact and talk about the show as it's going on. And that's how you introduce them and what the etiquette is in a theater.
And you can even stop it and play it again and teach them things all at the same time, which is really cool.
Exactly.
Listen, the time is going so fast, and we have a little clip. We have a clip. I wanted just of one just to give them a taste, because we haven't give them a taste of what of Mr. Tell us about Mr. Saturday Night. There was a
Mr. Saturday Night, one of the most Tony nominated shows of this past season. So it stars Billy Crystal, based on the movie that he did. It's Billy Crystal, David Paymer, Shoshana Bean, and they were all Tony nominated. Randy oh my God. And, they were all Tony nominated, amazing performances. So we were able to capture it because it was a limited run. And I think that's one of the really special types of content that we have at Broadway HD, are these shows that were limited runs. Billy Crystal is not going out on tour with this show. So this is really the only way that you can see it. And we have it exclusively on Broadway HD. So yeah, Mr. Saturday Night.
Let's see it, Jody.
I'm glad I brought a little joy. Your hearse is waiting at the door. I'm glad that I can bring some laughter and cheer to everyone here.
When did you start being funny?
It should be any moment now, Gene. Come here. There you go. Oh, good. No diaper. No diaper. The world could use a little joy.
So that's just a little tease. You'll have to get Broadway HD to see the whole thing. What are some of the other recent things that you've acquired? There's something you're doing, Phantom of the Opera. You just
We actually have, what Phantom of the Opera is actually ending on Broadway after 30 years this weekend, actually. And so I think, they're probably going to refresh it and do something else. It's still out on tour in different places, but we have a beautiful, beautiful concert version of Phantom of the Opera that is just, amazing to watch. We have, what else? I mentioned 42nd Street before. We have an Into the Woods. We have Cats. We have, Jesus Christ Superstar. We have Kinky Boots. We have Mr. Saturday Night. We have
the play that Joe Roth saw, Indecent, was it?
Oh, Indecent. Yes, that was a play by Paula Vogel. That is.
She said the capture of that was just extraordinary.
It really is. And again, it was a show that just didn't last long enough for everyone to see it. But it was, it's a play that has music. It's an important play that is just really special. Katrina Lenk was Tony nominated for that performance. And then Katrina went on to win a Tony Award for The Band's Visit the next season.
She was mesmerizing in that. She's just something else.
Yeah, she's just terrific. And this was really, I think this was her Broadway debut, actually, in Indecent. And as I said, it was Paula Vogel that wrote it, and Rebecca Teichman, who is a Drama League Directors Project, that actually won a Tony Award for directing the show, because it's just beautifully, beautifully done. So yes, and Daryl did this amazing, Daryl Roth did a just gorgeous production on Broadway. So that didn't last long enough, but we've preserved it for generations to come on Broadway HD.
Well, she was very appreciative, and she thought you did a terrific job. So we have about 2 minutes left. Is there anything else we want to hit on in the last 2 minutes that we didn't talk about?
What would we want to hit on last? No, I just, I thank you so much for.
Thank you. Let's remind everyone the Drama League Gala is coming up May 19th, because that's a limited time offer. You got to get your tickets soon if you want to be a part of it. And it's one of the most wonderful afternoons in the whole theater. It's I think my favorite award shows, because it's so intimate about it.
Great. Thank you. And Broadway HD makes a great gift, whether it's for Mother's Day or for your, for your grad in June, or the dads. So just go to BroadwayHD.com and sign up for a subscription there. So yeah, thank you so much, Patrick.
Oh, thank you. Wait, can you share anything about next season in the last minute that you're excited about?
There isn't anything that I can actually announce.
Okay, God, I understand. So we'll save that for next time. Okay, you must come back. You promise.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My love to Stu.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I wish I could actually share.
I understand. We'll do that later
on our content. What's that?
Well, we'll do that later. We'll come back and talk about whatever else is coming. Okay.
I love that. Thank you. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon out in the Hamptons.
And then we'll probably see you at the Drama League, if not before.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Patrick. Talk to you later.
Ciao.